Plateau State, the 12th largest state in Nigeria, has a population of about 3.5 million people with more than 40 ethnic groups across the 17 local government areas of the state. Located in north-central Nigeria, the state was created out of the old Benue Plateau in 1976. Although the state is known for its mining activities, agriculture is the major occupation of the people. With natural formation of rocks, hills and waterfalls, the state is celebrated as home of peace and tourism. The state is endowed with sons and daughters who have been making meaningful contributions to the growth and development of the state and the country. One of such eminent personalities is Ambassador Yahaya Kwande, a one-time Nigeria's ambassador to Switzerland.
My name is Yahaya Kwande. Funny enough, Kwande is a village name. But I have always repeated myself that it's for the love of my own village. And because we were brought up from different villages into Kwande town, where the school was situated, that we were identified by the villages in which we were coming from. That's why I have Kwande as my name. I was born about the 1929-30. I really don't know the date of my birth because none of the members of my family were literate enough to have recorded my name, my date of birth. But definitely, I'm almost accurate. It is either -1 or +1. I attended the Roman Catholic school, Kwande and Chanda. After that, I joined the teachers' colleges. Started with Riom teachers, assistant teachers course, an auxiliary type of teacher to assist. Then from there I went to Toro, a vernacular teacher training, then to Bauchi and to Katsina Higher Teachers College. That was the end of my teaching career. Then, of course, I joined the civil service of Northern Nigeria as an administrative officer. I touched nearly every corner of Northern Nigeria then. And then back to Plateau State, Benue Plateau then, as an administrator. Then I retired in 1976.
Ambassador Yahaya Kwande started life as a village boy and grew to become one of the most respected civil servants in the state.
The upbringing of a child in the village was so valuable. particularly respect of elders, and the dignity of labor. You are always on the farm with your parents. When you are home, you're doing something. Sometimes we go to school and you come back, you're not coming back to lie down and sleep. It was the time to help your parents. And it was so interesting that one day I went to school. I refused to come back home because I didn't want to go and cut grass for my father, for his horses. I ended up in the night trying to get their food. And as a result, I had encounter with a snake. That's very interesting now. It wasn't, but it is interesting now. The village life, you know, you do things yourself. Children that we have here are waiting for people to do things for them. But in the village, at the age of 5, 6, you are already helping yourself. And to me, the collective result of that makes a human being. All these little things, I think, is making me what I am today. Because I like human being, and probably because of my background in the village.
As a career teacher and administrator, Ambassador Kwande is passionate about education, as he dedicated a whole chapter in his autobiography describing his life as a teacher. Reflecting back on the quality of education in his days, the octogenarian is not happy with the state of education in present time.
Education then was education, if you know what I mean, because there was concentration in educating the children. Native authorities were responsible for the primary schools. And it was not just a matter that the school is there. No, it was a responsibility. Because both the children, the teachers, and the community were taking it very seriously. I remember that a child that does not or could not come to school was the responsibility of his father, his meangwa, and everybody will be so worried that a child has not attended just one day school because people were concerned. And the teaching then was different. Even the teacher was a man of responsibility that people respect in the village. And the school was well built, maybe with mud, but it was well built. And you had a class of children. I remember it was about 36 in a class. So teachers were preparing to teach a class tomorrow. You have what you sit down and plan what you will teach tomorrow. Today is a matter of, I don't care. And people who are learning, examinations were honest.
Aside his teaching vocation, he also served as an administrator, holding various positions, including Assistant Secretary under the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Information, part of the Office of the Premier of the Northern Region. The position gave him the privilege to work closely with the late Sardauna of Sokoto in Kaduna, then the headquarters of the northern region.
A typical northerner, a typical leader. Hardly could you get somebody to fit into his shoes. He was there just to rule and to help his people. He wasn't there for any other interest. It was Sardauna that can sit down and both of us, well, all of us, younger members of the service, and drivers, finding yourself sitting around a dish and eating with Sardauna. He was the head of government, head of service, head of everything. He was the father of northern Nigerians. Every evening, we all trooped to his house to come and eat. One thing I never will forget, Sardauna's attitude to human being, is that when he meets you and he knows you, tomorrow he will mention your name. As you approach him, like me, Yahaya, live here, or Yahaya Jos, or Yahaya Sergin Shandam, just to show you that he acknowledges you, and you leave him feeling so happy. That's what leaders are supposed to be, not when you are struggling for him to catch your eyes and he is turning it away. I was close to Sardauna because I was in his office working. So I could see the young politicians, and eventually, because of my interest in politics, I think I was discovered by the Sardauna. So they made me secretary to the Electoral Commission of Northern Nigeria in 1961. I organized Nigerian election, the Northern Nigeria, general election in Northern Nigeria, and meeting people. I never actually contested an election, but I like to get involved in organizing election and organizing friends to win election. So election, politics is not something that is there that you go and take. You get involved and you get interested. The next person to me was Sheikh Shagari. If you look into my book, you will see how we from Plateau, led by me, nominated him for the presidency in which he went. Because we from Plateau, we were 555 from northern Nigeria that met in Kaduna to give 3 names for those who would contest presidential election. And he was the one that we selected from Plateau. And I was the leader of the group then. So, and he then reciprocated by appointing me Nigerian ambassador to Switzerland. And we remained friends until he died. Then, if you leave Shagari, then you come back to Sheikh Musa Yaradua. Sheikh Musa Yaradua was invited to participate in the fundraising of Plateau State for development. And he came, and he was the chief launcher. During the period, I don't know what happened. He just sent for me that I should come and meet him. When I saw him, he said, "What, my lodging?" That was the beginning. We became very close friends, very, very close friends. were moving around until God took him away from us. Turakin Adamawa was his lieutenant in our movement, starting from PF, People's Front, and we reached a position of SDP, PDM, all in my house. Even the American embassy acknowledged my house as a political center where 3 presidential elections, primaries were held. We stayed with, we are with Atiku. I never left him. He's with me, he's my friend, he's my political associate, and I trust his brain.
Ambassador Kwande held other positions such as district and divisional officer in Kano, Niger, and Borno states, and finally retired as permanent secretary for trade cooperatives in 1976.
I came straight first to be deputy secretary in the military governor's office, Mr. Gomok. Believe me, you may not agree, or you may not think it's right. Within only a month, I had about 3-4 postings. I was being flanked here, flanked there, because I was standing odd among them. Then, during this posting and reposting, I was eventually taken to Benue Plateau bus service. And it was in Benue Plateau bus service that I was appointed chairman and general manager of the organization. I accompanied His Excellency Mr. J.D. Gomok to Germany, where we purchased some new buses. So as permanent secretary, I found myself only a bus conductor. However, I worked so hard. I first met 7 dilapidated buses, Bedford buses, that were only carrying workers in Nesco fiber factory to and fro. But I left 96 luxurious buses. And because of that, I became the darling of Mr. Gomak, who moved me out and appointed me permanent secretary, Commerce and Cooperatives. Eventually, I retired. And I'm now in my business.
His versatility and experience earned him the appointment of Nigeria's ambassador to Switzerland in 1981.
As Nigerian ambassador, I have always said it wasn't something we were trained for. I was a politician. And people don't know. You are very much respected if you are just a politician appointed by the president of your country to represent him. Because people will feel that you must be close to that president. But a career ambassador is learned, is a procedure of doing things. He knows it. But the question of who has the ears of the president, you can't compare a civil servant to the president and a politician of the same party with the president. So that is the difference. I enjoyed myself. I was in Switzerland. And I did what I could. The only problem that I always tell my colleagues or tell my friends here is that the jealousies at home between the Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, unfortunately, are usually taken out into the embassies. You know, if you do things, or if you approve something for A, and the A happens to be a Yoruba man, the Igbo man will say it's because you are Yoruba, that's why. So the little bit of pettiness in the embassy is there. Another thing that I don't know, because it's quite a long time. I've been out for a long time. It might have changed. But in my days, you are just appointed and you are sent to a country. I would have thought that before you go, a package of what is expected of you to do or to see or to look for would have been given to you, so that when you go, you know what to do. But in my days, I think, we were appointed ambassadors and sent with no briefing. And I found it very difficult at the early stage of my stay in Switzerland. You wake up in the morning and you go to your office. What do? Sit down there. What do you actually do? But later on, of course, you create things for yourself. There wasn't anything that you wake up, I'm going to do this today because my people told me to do this tomorrow, and next tomorrow I will do this. No, it wasn't much. Of course, we were displaying our dresses, Nigerian dresses, and we were displaying our food, because one day I entertained them with Nigerian dishes, things like that. So otherwise, the career diplomats might have got something more to do. But Nigerian politicians that were appointed ambassadors, I think should be better that any time they are being sent out, they should be given assignment.
As a descendant of the Kwande royal family, what has been the wish of this accomplished and respected prince?
Chieftaincy is something interesting. If I am just to follow what am I going to do there and what am I going to do there, I will never go. The whole thing is like you get drunk with it. And chronic type of behavior. If you are a prince, you want to be there. I want to leave everything that you know. Even if I am in London, I want to go to Kwande. But it doesn't mean that it's a matter of life and death. When you go and you prostrate, and they say it's another cousin of yours that is there, you move yourself to him, prostrate in front of him. That is the pride. It's not just you just have to be. No. People are not being made use of for their talent. You have all these big turban chiefs receiving millions, and you say they have no constitutional responsibility. Why? Give them. Even the security matter. If they catch somebody manufacturing ammunition in your own area of authority, they should ask you. But they said, no, they are there, they are traditionalists, they are this, they are that. They will just put in their big gown and attend a meeting. And no, that's not enough.
Ambassador Yahaya Kwande, a devoted Muslim, is happily married to a Christian wife and blessed with 11 children, among whom is an evangelist.
PLATEAU is a different place. We are very friendly people. And my background, as I have told you, is that I was brought up by the Roman Catholic missionaries. I loved them. Even now, when you have ceremonies and they invite me, I go and respect them. Now, that orientation of mine has brought me into, my wife is a Christian of 50 years, of a Protestant, an Anglican church. I don't mind. We've never one day quarreled. I usually take her in my car to the church. When am I coming to take you? Come 1 hour. I go and take her to my house. So to me, PLATEAU should be like that. And that's why I love my Muslim friends, but you cannot stop me. There was a day that one Reverend Father died between here and Bauchi, and I went for the burial, for the ceremonial service in the church at St. Teresa. And the Hausa people were peeping me through the window because I was then secretary to the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs. But to me, it was nothing. These are my brothers. The government of PLATEAU State should gear up again and make it so that we all have peace on the plateau, because it is the only thing we have. We don't make money in Jos easily. If you go to Kano, even in the street, somebody will say, come and take this from me, I will pay you. You will have something. But Jos is peace. That is what God has given us. If we don't have it, you don't have money, then it's not worth living in.
The elder statesman is a recipient of numerous awards and national honors, including the Officer of the Order of the Niger, OON.
Humility. That's the only thing. If I turn around and I say, what have I made in life? People think I'm too humble, that I don't respect myself, because I just talk to the driver, I sit with them, I eat with them, we play with them. Anybody I see I want to talk to, I love human beings. I have no regret whatsoever. I have no regret. Believe me, I have no regret. I have never sat down and say, I should have done. No, anything I did led to success, either immediately or later on. I usually, of course, felt very bad for the happening of something else. But usually, that wrong thing that I regretted happening to me, I just had to wait, and it will lead to success.
He's a jovial person, lovely person, someone who is always at alert, and he never takes vengeance. He never would like to, come back to you because you've said something. He will just play right. He's such a nice man. We started as teachers well back in the 1950s. So Then he was in Shandam local government, and I was in a mission school here in Lantan. When we subsequently joined the former northern region, both of us were working as administrative officers. Then in 67, I guess, 67, states were created. And in 1970, I was made the secretary to the government. So obviously, as secretary to the government and head of service, I was the boss of the administration. Yahaya is a good mixer of all faith. Be you a Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever is your religion, keep it to yourself. But man to man, we're friends. He's a good man. Yeah, he's a good man. Give him an assignment and you can go to sleep. He's a fantastic organizer. And I think it's this ability to bring things together. Because for an organization to, for an organizer to be successful, you must be able to bring people together. You must be able to bring situations together. And this he has. And I think that is what he carries, or he carried into politics. We've been very friendly, visiting one another, helping one another all along. In politics, out of politics, we've all been together as friends.
We schooled at Pankin. God willing, we met again in Maiduguri. He's a gentleman to the core. And he was an administrator.
Okay.
At that time, I was working with the Ministry of Lands and Survey.
Okay.
And I was the head of that department.
Ambassador Yahaya Kwande, as we mostly call him here. He's a senior brother, he's a father. And we have had very cordial relationship I have with him for quite a very long time. I first knew Ambassador Yahaya Kwande when I was in secondary school, and he was ADO, Assistant Divisional Officer in Borno Province of the old northern Nigeria. At that time, I used to go on holidays in Maiduguri when my senior brother, Mr. Ezekiel Jang, who by the grace of God is still alive, he was also the provincial lands officer, and they were quite close when they were in Maiduguri. And as a small boy in secondary school, I enjoyed holidaying there because they always look after me. That time that I used to go to Maiduguri for holidays as a small boy, that memory has ever remained with me. And of course, anytime we meet, he will ask me, where's Pamjang? We have had a very cordial relationship. Even though we have not always been in the same political party until now. But frankly speaking, he was quite supportive when I was governor here for the 2 terms I have had. I respect him as an elder statesman of the Plateau. We thank God that God has kept him alive up to this moment. He's still quite a sharp chap at his age, and you can still talk to him and he'll tell you a lot of things clearly and not mincing words. He has a history of of northern Nigeria in his fingertips, and she wants to hear about the history of the then northern Nigeria coming to the provinces at that time, and to the creation of states. Is all on his fingertips. He is steadfast. He's not this kind of politician that has been jumping from one political party to the other. He's principled. Once he has made up his mind about somebody, I know his relationship with late General Sheikh Yaradua, and because the former Vice President, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, was also part of that group. When Yaradua died, he now made his camp together with Atiku. And as a result, when Atiku moved to the PDP, he moved to the PDP, and he's still in the PDP today with Atiku. So he doesn't jump from one person to the other. He is quite a principled person. That memory of a man that has administered, he's a good administrator, he's an administrator. Somebody who knows the needs of people. And I know he's someone who has sympathy for the poor based on his training and what he started doing right from the time he was a young person. So I don't think he's somebody that you can easily forget so quickly.
Yahaya Kwande, to me, is somebody that was our early stars in those days. You know, a lot of our communities look for them for direction. They are the shepherds of our people, so to speak, you know. So he's been highly respected as a bureaucrat. When he retired and came and was practicing business, he started the Quares Motors, you know, at that time, the indigenous motor companies at home. He was into different businesses, estate development. He had some estates that he developed. Honestly, his shoes is too big for us young men to wear today. I still look up to him, you know. Even in the traditional rites, he's somebody that loves the Gumai tradition very well. He has been one of the early president of the GDO, that is the Gumai Unity and Development Association. He is one of the pioneer presidents of that association, umbrella body of the Gumai people. So Yahaya Kwande is a basket of knowledge in the Gumai culture for us. Most time we call him to throw lights on issues that are not very, very clear to us. His knowledge of our community is quite impressive, that I will want the youth to emulate.
Yahaya Kwande, in fact, is a man of integrity. His personality cannot never be emphasized, because not only Nigeria, even abroad, you know, he has been appointed once ambassador. He's a man of God who helped the cause of Islam during most especially when Jamaat Islam organization established. He was the first secretary of Jamaat Islam Benue Plateau, but relation, and I know him to be resident that time. He's a resident in Jos. He tried a lot in settling critical matters. He tried a lot in carrying along all tribes in Plateau and Benue. Yahaya Kwande he was one that first of all initiated rebuilding of the mosque. People are saying, where will you get money? He said no. So you know how he tried with his friends, his colleagues, and today you see the mosque, just Central Mosque. Yahaya Kwande, in fact, he did a lot in helping just residents, people. I mean, we that are residing in Jos, and try to give everybody what he deserves, what is his right, without any discrimination.
Yahaya Kwande is a man of peace. And apart from that, he's also politically consistent. He's somebody who very much believes the North. You cannot take away that away from him. He's consistent. And that's why we respect him. We don't care whether he is a Muslim or he's a... No, we respect him because he's an elder statesman and we have something to draw from him. Yahaya Kwande is not only a bureaucrat, he's a politician, and he's an entrepreneur. Kwande bus service, everybody, maybe some young men may not know that he ran a successful transport company called the Kwande bus service.
I first met him when I was in the university, Ahmadu Bello University, the time when we were struggling for the creation of Plateau State. At that time, we were asking for Plateau State to be created from the Benue Plateau, the old Benue Plateau. And that meant our agitation was mainly focused on present Nasarawa State and Plateau State being excised from the old Benue Plateau State. In those times, the Irikife panel, which was responsible for recommending and generating all the needs of people and the demands and presenting it to Supreme Military Council for approval, came to Plateau, and that was the first time I really saw the ambassador in his true self, quite honestly, because I wasn't close to him. I was too small to be close to him. And I drove to his house and met him, told him our plight. He immediately put on his agbada and cap and said, let's go. He didn't even have a copy of the memo. It is on the floor there that he was given one. And he eloquently presented our case, and history, of course, will bear him out. The state was created. Now, this is, as far as I'm concerned, it's a symbol of courage and leadership, which he gave us, who were very young then. Despite his increase in age, the man has remained very emboldened, and he will say to you at any time, he will tell you the truth. And
is one of the only few leaders we have today who are willing to come out and talk to the press about the ills and problems of this country, even when young people cannot even face the people to tell them the truth. And I find that his legacy is that of courage. He's a profile in courage, quite frankly, and he has served this country as an ambassador. He set up the Benue Plateau bus service. That was not it was not a small achievement. At that time, there was basically nothing. They started the state with nothing whatsoever. The economy was the only thing the government had was what they would receive from Lagos. But here he was generating funds, creating routes for the transport corporation, and which eventually was bringing in a lot of money and resources.
He has been a uniting factor. He has been a role model. He has been a peacemaker. He has been a bridge builder. And he has always been here, there for the peace and progress of Plateau State, and above all, for Nigeria too.
He best encapsulates the Shakespearean saying of, he was born great, he achieved greatness, and he has greatness thrust upon him. He knows so much about his culture, he's so proud of it. He knows so much about Nigerian politics, he knows so much about indigenous tribes, he knows so much about world politics. I think at every event, the historic event in Nigeria, right from 1950-something up till date, Providence has made it possible for him to be part of it. The history of this country can never be complete without him. So to many of us, he is a wonderful person. Very simple, down to earth. He doesn't have airs. As you can see, people walk in and out, regardless of your status, your age, and who you are. His doors are open. It's not like a modern day politician who closes his door and feels that he's a big man. There is unfettered access to his house.
He's a astounding figure, what he has done to humanity. He's somebody who loves helping people.
He is somebody that has brought us up with so much show of love, so much show of concern, and very reasonable. So growing up has been, we've been nurtured by him to do the right thing and to love people. You will never see a Kwande disregard human beings just like that. He's a very refined person, refined in the sense that he relates with people very well. His persona is fantastic. Being one of the eldest in the family, I can remember when he was a civil servant, he did everything according to how it's supposed to be done. The right, he would teach us to do the right thing and always preach to us that the truth is better, and it has always prevailed in anything. So Baba, anytime I mention Baba, I know I'm a very, very will I say privileged to be his daughter.
My father is what you call a seasoned public civil servant. He loves whatever is good for the generality of people. There's a joke that says, because of his love for his people in the village, Kwande, they said if he goes to heaven, he's not gonna enter until he says, Kwande people go in before he goes in. That is how much he loves his people. My father is a very honest man. He has held so many public offices in which There are lots of temptations and things in the Nigerian parlance we call deals that have come to him. He shuns everyone. There is no office in which he has held that he has been indicted for dishonesty. And he always tells us, always be honest in your dealings, especially when it has to do with public trust.
We grew up looking at him not only as a father figure, not only as a father, but also as a friend in which you can confide in. No matter what it is, you can discuss with him. And one thing I realized about my father is that he always used to like to hear from us. He doesn't like to tell you, I want you to do this. If you have any objection to it, he will want to hear your own reasons so that he can put his own wisdom behind your reasons so that you can now comprehend why he wants to do some certain things. We grew up in a house where the food he eats and the food we eat are the food that everybody eats, including the workers. I grew up in a house where there was no religious or tribal sentiments attached to who gets what. Everybody was his own. I grew up in a house where the doors were open. Anybody could come in and sit down with him and talk to him, seek for his advice and advise them. I grew up in the house where my father is sometimes what you call political figures, where people tend to hop from here and there. But when my father takes somebody and he's following that person, he sticks to that person to the end. My mom is a born-again Christian. My dad is a certified Muslim. But believe me, when I say this, I've never seen my parents fight. I know that they're always discussing. They always discuss about their religious beliefs. If you enter the rooms, you see a Bible on one side and a Quran on one side. You'll be shocked to see my father reading the Bible and my mother reading the Quran. They will not discuss among themselves. And they live amicably. And there is no religious difference in our house. So I think if we have that religious, I won't say tolerance, I would say we have to accommodate each other. Because if we tolerate something, you tend to lose tolerance. But when you accommodate fully. So I think it's high time we accommodate each other as being one.
He has always been a friend. He's our mentor. He inspires us. He teaches us by reasoning and discussing.
You had it all. The ideals, beliefs and values of this senior citizen who his life impacted on the state and the country at large.